Yumma everyone, welcome to Hot Pink Goanna Studios, Deadly Artists with Disabilities podcast. We're going to be doing a series of podcasts talking and having a yarn with amazing artists through the Noonaron group who are living with disabilities and talk about the contributions they are making to our culture, our community and to the arts. Now these podcasts are available due to the generous support from Queensland Arts or Arts Queensland and the Queensland Government, who have been able to provide us with a grant to be able to get these and bring these to you. So I really want to acknowledge that, because without that we wouldn't have been able to develop these podcasts and put them out there for you. So thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy them. Yumma everyone, welcome to Hot Pink Goanna, Deadly Artists Living with Disabilities. And today we're interviewing another one of our amazing artists from the Noonaron group, Auntie Helena. Now I won't talk about Auntie Helena's mob because she's saltwater, freshwater woman. She's got connections everywhere, so she can yarn about that. But I'll talk her up because she won't. And she's an amazing artist. She's got some artwork at the moment that we're taking over to the United Nations. It's talking about the United Nations Convention on the Rights of People with Disabilities. She's done some other amazing artwork, been in a few exhibitions with us down at Parliament House, down in government offices here in Queensland. She's recently done some animations and voiceovers of some of her artwork to help talk to our mob about their rights under the UN CRPD. And woman that has a lot of different things. She does a lot of work in community, involved with Murray Court, with young ones. So I might just hand over her to introduce herself and tell her story herself. So Auntie, how you going? Thanks for coming along.
No worries, I'm okay. Thanks, brother.
Yeah. So tell people, you've got a lot of saltwater, freshwater. You've got a lot of
all over the place.
Yeah.
Look, well, first of all, I was born in PNG. My mum, through my mum and my grandmother, her line, my great-great-grandmother, we started from French Polynesia, sailed all the way and followed the tails. That's our family story. We followed the tails of the dolphins, the sharks, the heads of the turtles, the shells of the turtles to find our next place to land. Always being guided by that North Star, And so through that, we've landed everywhere. So we started off in French Polynesia, landed in somewhere around the Solomon Islands, Fiji, Vanuatu, just everywhere. Anyway, big mob of our family ended up in Badu, Torres Strait Island. And that's where my research kind of hit a bit of a brick wall. So I'm looking forward to going there one day and finding family. I've seen some pictures and stuff and I'm like, yeah, man, that's my auntie, right there. You look at their face and you just know, you feel that connection. And on my father's side, when I was growing up as a child, I'd see black and white photos and I would ask him, he's essentially a white Australian. And I would ask him, Dad, are you sure we're not black? And he would say, oh, no, we don't talk about that. And I go, oh, all right then. So being a good kid, I didn't talk about it. And because I could see that it was something that hurt him to talk about. But anyway, last several years actually, from my work in Darwin with schools and community up there, I was able to connect where my dad came from, where my dad's family originally came from, the Indigenous part of our family. That was actually confirmed, which is awesome. And we're from Wiradjuri mob. Down Murrumbidgeri Way, Wagga Wagga, that whole area. Yeah, so Three Rivers girl here.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it from, Yeah.
That's huge connection. And you see that connection in your artwork as well. When you do the saltwater, freshwater connections well.
I try to include it all because it's all so important to me. Until I started researching it, and I know that you mob out there will understand, I didn't realise how much I missed it. And I guess one of the first questions I asked myself was, why does this mean so much to me? And it meant so much to me because it was my strength. It was outside of my faith, which is also very important to me. It was part of my foundation in a world that, as a person with a disability, hidden most of the time, didn't give me a firm foundation. Yeah.
That's very strong that and important, that connection to culture, to know your roots and where you're from and why you think a certain way and feel a certain way. And then when you start, I think for me, and I know it's for a lot of people, then when you start painting too is a wonderful way of sharing that story and connecting and using symbols that have been passed down for thousands of years.
I didn't even know how important those symbols and even just a simple line drawn a certain way was until I started with Noonaron, you know, and I met all them beautiful sister girls and, you know, that's family right there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we all bounce off each other. I learn something every day and sitting with them, and they're just an amazingly supportive group. And I know, it's, you know, it's when you find your tribe, but they know we're very diverse, but respectful of all that diversity.
Very much so.
And but all have the one thing in common, that we've all grown up with disability and had to overcome particular barriers in a world that wasn't designed for us.
Yeah.
And we sort of said, but what are you doing now with your art and stuff too? And
well, I do a lot of art for myself. It's part of my self-care toolbox. You know, even if it's just I get a small canvas out or I get my doodle pad out, you know, with some watercolour and I'm just, you know, making shapes, or I'm trying to tell a story through colour. And a lot of it doesn't make sense to a lot of people, and that's okay because art doesn't need to make sense to the beholder. Not really. It's the person who's doing it. And as long as they can tell you the story behind it, put their heart and soul in it, you know, I think that story tends to emerge anyway. So, yeah, art has really become one of my saving graces, and it was I fell into it really through you, you know, a simple conversation at a cafe.
Yes, I remember that. Simple. We were there for 3 hours. They closed the cafe around us.
How many donuts did we end up?
Yeah.
But anyway, I didn't consider myself an artist. But now I use it to help the people that I work with. I'm a psychosocial recovery coach and mentor with the NDIS, and that has been a real eye-opener to me. I do work with a lot of Indigenous individuals and families, all different ages, all different ability types, neurodiverse clients as well. And I tell you what, you start talking about culture and art and just anything, and anything can be art. That's what I love. And they'll show me something they've written. And, you know, that's part of their story, and it's important that they feel that they're heard. Oh, I just love it. My work in the community with that has just been, it's really filled my heart.
And I feel what you're saying there too is such an important point, that when someone's got that own lived experience to come in and support someone with a lived experience as well, it connects with so many levels, because it no longer becomes an academic situation. It's actually a shared experience. And people can see that your resilience and your recovery, and they can then see that. So you can't be what you can't see.
Exactly.
And I think when it's our own mob with disability, talking about disability, supporting other people with disability for that, I think that is so powerful and the impact. Because originally our art, which you know was mainly the main things we painted about back in the day, it was bush tucker, culture and ceremony. And now in the 21st century, our culture has grown and progressed and translated into so many different ways that now our mob with disability, because as we always say, there's no word for disability. But now this whole new storytelling, a whole new genre of our artwork to how we cope and survive and resilience in a 21st century.
How we've adapted.
Adapted, that's the word I thought. And I think that can't be done by anybody else unless someone's lived through that experience.
We are the longest living culture. We have to adapt. And, you know, there was a time there, probably maybe 20, 25 years ago, you'd know more about this, I guess. Giving away our age there. You know, where there was this huge disconnect. And if there was that disconnect for people who were not considered people living with disability, can you imagine how disconnected and lost people, our mob living with disability, were feeling? Like, just...
It just didn't have. Yeah, it was just.
Yeah.
I remember. Like I've worked in disabilities for 40 years, and I was around when people just automatically put in institutions, and then they started to move people out into community, and that was just done by bureaucrats without talking to anyone with actual disabilities, and a long way. So our mob was always just disconnected. I remember there was a young Koori girl in a group home I worked in, and there was no real, because no one knew how to do it. It didn't have a clue about how to connect her to culture. Yeah. But when the family come visit, they always rostered me on. Yeah, because it wasn't just the mum and dad; it was all the family.
Yeah,
and they were lovely, and they just all come into this great big house, and now that's sort of a bit more recognised and supported and included.
It is, and it's because of the hard work that people like yourselves have done. So,
and the funny thing is it wasn't hard. We just thought, this is how it should be. Yeah. Even now when we talk about disabilities and painting and healing, some people are like, oh, what an incredible thing. Like, but no, this is how a mob does stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
This isn't rocket science.
Yeah.
This isn't new to us.
No.
This is how it's done. It's
how we've always done it.
Yeah, it's not diagnosed-based. It's needs-based. We have to do diagnosis to get the right other supports.
Yeah.
But our mob is just telling a story and just being valued.
Exactly. Yeah. And being recognised for that story, isn't it?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
And
it's also, and I think that's what you mentioned earlier about the paintings, and people may not know what the story is. And I think that's the beauty of the work, and I've seen the work you do, is if you don't know the story, it draws you in because it makes you wonder, there is a story to this.
Yeah.
And the colours are beautiful and it's beautifully done. But then when people hear the story, it's almost like a aha, oh my God moment. Like, oh, I can see that now. I can see what that means.
Yeah.
And it takes on a whole new thing because it's no longer just, paintings of a hut or a bowl of fruits or a tree. It's someone's, shared themselves on that canvas.
Yeah, and that's real intimate. It does draw you in. You're right. Yeah.
And I know and I know you, with all of our mob, have been through trauma and different disabilities and anxiety and all that sort of stuff. And I know sometimes, it must be hard for you, but you still do it. I know there's times you just need to have some space and all that, but you still get out there. You still sit on a number of different boards. You're involved with the new Mob for Mob.
Yes.
Yeah, the now, just as of a couple of days ago, the new Queensland Peak Indigenous Representative Group. So
I heard it through the Bush Telegraph.
Yeah. And and I know you're involved with Murray Court and do that stuff. So I know Mob with Disabilities, sometimes it is that stuff. And I think, we deserve someone just to shut down. Yeah. But I think when we do the art and the storytelling, I think that's what we really want to put out to community, that our mobs still make incredibly valuable contributions to community and do stuff. Even when they're not travelling well, they'll still do that stuff. Yeah. And our art comes from a perspective that's so unique in the storytelling.
For sure.
And I think that's, what you do and all our other artists in Noon are on, and part of it. I think it's just what our unique, our point of difference.
Yeah, and, one of the things that I really loved that really, kept me going, even on, as you say, those days where I didn't want to even be thankful that I opened my eyes that day because of some of the stuff that I was feeling, but I know that it was a Noonaron day. And I knew that my sister girls would be there. Half of them were probably feeling the same way I was. But as soon as we pulled out them canvases, got that table prepared, got the paints out and that, and we just start having a yarn, sharing a cuppa.
Sometimes never do any painting.
Yeah, sometimes never do any painting. Not one dot was put on canvas. That was our therapy. That was for the week. Yeah. And that would get us through. And it's so powerful coming together like that. And then when you can take that principle of a yarning circle and embed that principle and that storytelling in your artwork and in the work that you do in community, just the people don't realise what they're looking for until you show them. And I'm able to walk in to an Indigenous household with the work that I do and say, hey, sis, hey, cuz, I'm here. Another worker can't do that. No. And I'll get stuff done that other workers won't be able to get done.
It's a very different relationship, isn't it?
It's a different relationship. Yeah. It's not it's not personal in the sense that, you know, you're my mate. They know that I'm their coach and recovery, you know, that I'm basically a mental health worker with lived experience. But there is a step. I'm able to get a bigger foot in the door, I think, and that allows me to start that journey with them, and, you know, walk that way, yin yamara, Paul.
Yes.
You know, and
That respect.
that respect and that deep healing, you know, that deep listening, and they know that I understand. They know that I understand. We're with a psychologist sitting in an office. Yeah, they might get some stuff. They'll miss a lot of it, though.
Yeah, it's like when people come to the art group and suddenly it's their space and there's none of you don't have to go through the niceties. It's straight in, who's your mob, where you from?
Yeah.
What's going on? Let's see the painting. It's straight away. There's certain things you don't have to even go through and do that. So,
No.
God. No, look, I think, it's great having you as part of the group, and it gives me a lot of strength, and I love painting, and I mean, you know, it does my head in. Sometimes I get exhausted, but I can't help myself. Anything to do with the arts just drives me. And but, you know, look, it's so good for you to come and have a yarn with us and share your story. And I
My
think,
pleasure.
and we just want to really put it out there, the deadly work that our community does,
Yeah.
and show that our mob, you know, even with disabilities, not just painting, we're doing this other stuff in community as well.
Absolutely.
So it was really valuable to come here for you to come and share stories. So it's nice to catch
Thanks,
up
brother.
anyway.
Yeah.
So you look fabulous. I love your hair.
Thank you.
Anyway, we'll catch you later. But thanks, everyone.
Thanks,
And
everyone.
yeah, if you want to catch up with Auntie Helena, have a look at our website. We'll show you some of the artwork and keep an eye out for some amazing resources, hopefully coming out later this year with Queensland that Auntie's voice will be in. So thanks, everyone.
See ya.